from Palm Beach. Of course, behind us is the city in great distress, the city of Minneapolis, where we do hope that this is not a repeat of what the two anti-police, anti-American, communist-leaning little boy mayor and Tampon Tim did to us in 2020. It was the two of them together that took the riot and ratcheted it up to destruction of about a third of Minneapolis, maybe more, and then sort of gave the signal enabling people to do whatever the hell they wanted to police when the little baby mayor, that absolute jackass, Jacob Fry, who basically tried to start a riot yesterday, just gave up a police precinct, and as the first mayor that anyone can remember in the history of America to give up a police precinct to a group of rioting criminals who were burning down his city. But for some reason, the people of Minneapolis must have roughly the same common sense as the people in New York, because they reelected him. Now, they did reelect him over a Mondani, whatever. In other words, a person who was an acknowledged socialist communist. Don't know that it makes much difference. He is a socialist communist, and he is a massive jackass who is dangerous to people's lives and safety. The other guy is extraordinarily dangerous for a reason that no one will explore or have the guts to explore, and that is his very significant ties to the Red Chinese government, which no one will explore, no one will look at, and no one will ask him about. And with those questions remaining and unanswered, for the safety and national security of my country, I have to conclude that he's an agent of the Red Chinese. Been there 15 to 30 times. Invited back all the time to teach, which says he has to be teaching what they approve. Second, they encourage him to bring students there. He brings about 50 a year. Conducts two businesses in dealing with travel to China. No one has ever asked or disclosed where the funding for that comes from. I suspect that it comes from Red China. He was recruited out of college. Probably he was a jackass in college, the way he was a jackass throughout his life. And Red China saw him as an easy prey to groom him. So they took him over for a year and a half and groomed him and sent him back. So it's very, very hard to understand why all those questions, and there are quite a bit more about his wife and her involvement in it, and the girlfriend that he jilted there who was involved with the Communist Party, and then his ridiculous statements about Red China, including the one that Red China had the moral suasion to really help us in the Middle East, and we just never used them. I mean, that is about as clear an indication you are a brainwashed fool as you could utter, given the fact that China has killed more of its own people than anyone else. These are all a few of the things about this nitwit communist agent, and he appears to be that. I would say that's clearer a case than the one that he's involved in the massive fraud in his state. Now, the massive fraud in his state does convict him of complete, absolute, and absurd incompetence, for which he shouldn't just not run for office. He should be thrown out of office. If it weren't a corrupt state, he would be thrown out of office, and he'd be thrown out of office for mismanagement. I mean, we're north of $9 billion in fraud just among the Somalis. And these are supposed to be uneducated people from one of the most corrupt and illiterate countries in the world, Somalia. And they beat the government out of, right now, $9 billion, while they pretended to have schools. The main one that was part of the exposure that was done has now closed. Reality is it never opened. No one ever saw a child go in there in 5 years, and they pulled down millions and millions of dollars. Well, before we get to Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Venezuela, we had another shooting, which we'll get the details of to a greater extent later. I'm surprised there's so few, because it happened at 2:24 p.m. Portland time. That's Portland, Oregon, as in marijuana being smoked all over the place. Now, Portland, Oregon, there were two people shot. They were taken to the hospital. They were shot. It is reported by Border Patrol agents, to be distinguished from ICE. Now, in the same agency, but a different law enforcement group. And this is as of the discussion from the Portland police, and the FBI is in charge of the investigation. The mayor there, who is as dangerous and as incompetent and as horrible as just about any of the Democrat mayors in the country. I mean, this is a city in which I have people coming up to me on the street and asking me, could I go there and straighten it out? This has been going on now for about 3 years. I don't know how long this fool has been in office, but Mayor Keith Wilson, Portland is now grappling with another deeply troubling incident. Now, we don't know anything about this, right? But he's already made a conclusion. We cannot sit by while constitutional protections erode and bloodshed mounts. Portland is not a training ground for militarized agents, and the full force threatened by the administration has deadly consequences. As mayor, I call on ICE to end all operations in Portland until a full investigation can be completed. Now, ICE wasn't involved in this, but that's the kind of fool he is. And that's what causes greater riots. Now, this may be a terrible shooting. This may be a completely justified shooting. All I know is that 2 people were shot. We are told it was by Border Patrol personnel, and they are both in the hospital, and we don't have a report yet on their condition, although there was one very brief report that they thought they would survive. So that's all that I know, and Ted will work on getting the rest for you as we go along. And it is surprising that we have so little. This, as I said, it was 2:24 Portland time. So it would have been 5:24 our time. So that would be, I mean, we should at least have some. They were shot in one place and they were picked up in another place. So exactly what happened, it might have been a chase. It might have been a lot of things. So there's absolutely no purpose in our speculating. Right. It could be anywhere from the most justified shooting ever to a terrible problem. Right. But the mayor has already decided that it's the fault of ICE. And of course, that's the one thing we do know, that it wasn't. So the one fact that we do have, the mayor, who is a complete fool with a city that's a disaster, is wrong about. But he had to shoot his mouth off because he's really hoping they could have a couple of good riots. They haven't had a good riot in a while, and they're hoping to have one. Right. Portland is a complete mess. Has been for some time. The United States Senate voted 52-47 to limit the president's power with regard to getting rid of communist dictators in Venezuela and drug dealers in Venezuela. So the entire Democratic Party, of course, sided with the drug dealers and the Communist Party. But interestingly, 5 Republicans did too. Please remember their names. Rand Paul, who is getting further and further like his father, who I ran against for president and humiliated in a famous incident that I will show you. Then I believe it was Susan Collins, of course, and Murkowski, of course. And let's see, who else? Rand Paul, Murkowski, Collins. You got to get me the other 2, Ted. I actually think I threw it away. Let me get it out of the garbage where it should come from. These are 5-year-old Josh Hawley, Rand Paul, Murkowski, Young, who I don't think has even passed a bill yet of any kind, nor has Hawley. I mean, Hawley, I don't know. I remember Hawley coming up with some of those ridiculous ideas I ever heard of. And Collins, who votes with us 1 out of 10 times. Murkowski, who never votes with us. Rand Paul, who is in favor of complete isolation so that we can be just quickly taken over by Red China. Well, let's just make it easier. Hawley, who is trying to make himself famous, and I think is going to just work himself out of office.
Yes.
I mean, doesn't he look like one of those come along silly boy jerks?
He does.
Yeah. And Murphy, I don't know. What's Murphy's problem? He likes communists,
right.
likes drug dealers.
Right.
Doesn't think the president should arrest a guy who's been indicted by his predecessor for massive drug dealing and arms shipments. President shouldn't arrest him. And the president shouldn't try to reverse a Chinese communist possible outpost in the. I guess he would have voted against try to limit Kennedy at the Bay of Pigs, so that Kennedy would have accepted the missiles from Khrushchev gladly, right?
Right.
Well, I'm sure Rand Paul would have. God Almighty! Did Rand Paul run for president?
He did.
Did he make a fool out of himself like his father did?
He ran. He was part of the 2016. Took on Trump.
Yeah.
Trump told him he had it up to here with him, and he pointed at his chest because he's so short. You don't remember that? Let's play that.
I do. I do remember that. But he actually isn't as big a fool as his father.
Not at
His
all.
father was a complete asshole. Whoa!
Oh my goodness!
A complete isolationist. Being an isolationist is being stupid. How can you be an isolationist in a world that's as complicated as ours, with so many people that want to do us harm? All you do is leave us there as a pincushion,
right?
An unprotected pincushion. But it must run in the Paul family,
right?
Stupidity.
Here's 2016. A quick trip down memory lane.
Ask whether or not he would be capable and it would be in good hands to be in charge of the nuclear weapons, and all of a sudden there's a sideways attack at me. I think that really goes to the judgment. Do we want someone with that kind of character, that kind of careless language to be negotiating with Putin? Do we want someone like that to be negotiating with Iran? I think really there's a sophomoric quality that is entertaining about Mr. Trump. But I am worried. I'm very concerned about having him in charge of the nuclear weapons, because I think his response, his visceral response to attack people on their appearance, short, tall, fat, ugly. My goodness, that happened in junior high. Are we not way above that? And would we not all be worried to have someone like that in charge of the nuclear arsenal?
Mr. Trump.
I never attacked him on his look, and believe me, there's plenty of subject matter right there.
"5 years of a Trump presidency. Does he handle nuclear weapons responsibly? Jackass. Do you want to apologize for that? Huh?
Right.
I mean, maybe you are as dumb as your father. I don't know.
Well, on that note, Mayor, we have a very special guest, a good friend of yours, and someone who knows about as much as there is to know about law enforcement, Mr. John Houvain.
John, how are you?
Good, sir. How you doing? Happy New Year.
John is a former New York City detective, New York City police officer, head of my detail as the mayor of New York, my partner in Giuliani Safety and Security. He's done security and continues to do it all over the world. So I can't have anybody better on. John, I just wanted to ask you your views on the shooting in Minneapolis, which the mayor is really using to try to create a riot. I mean, he's decided that the police officer was a rogue, or the ICE agent was a rogue agent, that they're all rogue agents, and that people have to do something about this, which sounds like he wants to rekindle the riots of 2020 when they almost burned the city down.
It's true. I always remember working at City Hall, and we would get notified by the police of a shooting or something like that. And we would, of course, brief you right away. But then, of course, we waited till we got the facts. Because normally the first story, the second story, and the third story was not as accurate as when it came out.
Absolutely.
And we got the facts before you act. And then we'd always get whoever is in control of that borough on the phone with the police commissioner, and we would get the facts. And you wouldn't comment on any open investigation. Why? Because it may affect the prosecution, which the mayor should think about that. If he's looking for true justice, if there is something that needs to be prosecuted, he should not weigh in. And he should wait until the facts are in, the investigation is done. I can assure you that the federal government will investigate it, the DOJ, that within ICE, they will investigate it as well. And also, probably the police department, homicide will work together if, and get the facts. This DOJ is a different type of DOJ. They're looking for accuracy and to prosecute people or not prosecute people based on facts.
Now, John, is it? We don't know all the facts. We just see what we see on television, and we see a woman resisting police instructions or
Correct.
ICE instructions, possibly fleeing. We don't know. But when I look at it, that ICE agent could have easily been killed, even if he tried to jump out of the way. This happened in 3 seconds. She could have swerved that big vehicle and run him right over.
Yes, and now
She aimed it right at him.
should that I know of a fact of a case of a young Haitian police officer who was assigned to the New York City Police Department. He was called over to go look at people with guns on the street. That they weren't there. He walked over to the car, and there was suspects sitting in the car. They dragged him for 10 blocks. He is now paralyzed. And that happened here in the city.
Yeah. I remember it now that you say it.
Yeah, and this detective was a Haitian immigrant along with his wife. And,
he's now paralyzed. John. He's paralyzed.
he's completely paralyzed. Yes, sir. And, he's doing a little better, got, a lot of faith in him, getting much better, God willing.
And Tunnel to Towers is working with him. John is very active in Tunnel to Towers. Very, very active.
We took care of him and his family, and but it's very dangerous. Now, Mayor, I know you know. Before I got to your detail, not while in your detail, I was involved in a couple of shootings.
I do know that. Another reason I called you. You know the split-second decisions you have to make.
Correct, and you're trained, and New York City Police Department would always give the most amount of training. Then you're taught different rules. Obviously, I don't know exactly what the rules are for federal officers in shooting. Shoot, don't shoot. But you can have the best training. You can have the best rules and regulations. But at the end of the day, the car's coming at you. That's a 6,000-pound bullet that is coming at you. That also had a split second. And if I am correct, I believe he got injured before this in a similar type of accident.
Yeah, they say he was dragged by one of these cars for a period of time and was hospitalized.
Yeah, that's why I thought
that has to be. I mean, I'm sort of putting myself in his position. The car is maybe 20 feet from him at most, 30 feet. The SUV, the thing starts up. Even if he tries to run away, she could easily swerve it and hit him easily in a second. Also, there was ice conditions. He could have tripped, gone on the ground, and got run over by the wheels.
Without a doubt. And that last thing that agent would ever want to do, if he's your atypical agent or law enforcement, he's not looking to shoot anybody, but he's also looking to go home at night.
Yeah, sure.
And that's just a clear fact.
We've been in a lot of funerals of police officers who did not go home.
And this could have this been avoided? Absolutely. That car probably shouldn't have been there.
Yeah, maybe she should have listened. I mean, that would have been that would have been, she was yelling and screaming and cursing. And maybe if she had just listened to the police officers and gone back and gotten out of the way, or the ICE agents or whoever they were, it wouldn't have happened.
Stephen A. Smith came out today and he said, no, the cop is right. Like he probably should wait till he hears all the facts.
Sure. I mean, there'll be some things about her, some things about him, But let's put it this way: at least from what we see, it looks like it would be reasonable for him to be in fear of his life.
Absolutely.
And that's the standard. You got to be in fear of your life.
That is correct. Now, with this all being said, you know, she's dead. Her family's going to suffer, but the police officer, the agent's family's going to suffer. What this poor agent will go through for the next several months, years, being second guessed and tormented in the open media.
Of course.
You know, his life is ruined. His life is ruined. But you know,
oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope. Let's pray for him. Let's pray for her. She has a 3-year-old child.
Yeah, it's a
13-year-old, 16-year-old. I can't help it. I just have to ask what the hell she's doing there in the first place. But she's got a 3-year-old. I know there's a First Amendment. There's also such a thing known as being a parent. But
well, if you look at this poor guy, he literally gets hit by that car.
Well, you see him getting pushed by it, right?
Yeah, yeah. That 6,000-pound bullet is coming for him.
Well, John, you doing well?
I'm doing great, sir.
I want to see you soon, huh? I miss you.
I miss you too. The president of the Dominican Republic says hello to you.
Good.
And,
you hello to him.
The head of what would be our equivalent of the DEA down there.
They're doing a good job, right, John?
They're doing a good job, and they're actually very happy that we were intercepting a lot of the drug boats and everything else.
I bet they were. And yeah. Well, thanks, John. God
Thank
bless
you, sir. Cheers. Happy New Year. Bye, Teddy.
Happy New Year, my friend.
Thanks, John. Wow.
John was making reference. John was making reference to the Dominican Republic, where he is a consultant. And the Dominican Republic is very, very the direct opposite of Venezuela. It's very pro-American, very pro-Trump, actually, particularly on law enforcement. And the president there has secured the border with Haiti because the Haitians were overwhelming the Dominican Republic and creating enormous problems. He's also reduced crime dramatically, reduced drugs dramatically, and you don't hear about the Dominican arrest that you used to hear about years ago. In fact, I kind of had a lot to do with stopping that in Washington Heights. And sometime I'll tell you the story of the transition of Washington Heights and what good people the Dominicans are. These are essentially entrepreneurs. These are people who love to have their own businesses, small, medium, large. They're very, very good people, very religious people, and also they're terrific baseball players.
Right. But going back to John,
the Boston Red Sox would certainly reaffirm with Poppy, and we all would with Alex Rodriguez. But
just going back to John for a minute, and we got to ask him about this next time, Mayor. I didn't realize he was he involved?
Yes, John was involved in a shooting, and he saved his partner's life.
I've previously remember, I think he was involved with 3 shootings.
Yeah.
But also.
And one of them, he saved his partner's life.
Was he in London during the terrorist attacks? Or
he was with me, right next to me.
In London, England, during the terrorist attacks.
He and I helped I don't talk about these things a lot, but he and I were on television and at the request of the Prime Minister to give them advice. And
so you were in London. And
I was half a block away from the station. That was the last one that was
7/7, 2005, I believe.
Half a block away.
And then he was also was he in Mumbai during that terror attack?
No. We left the day before, and he's the guy who he's the guy.
You left the day before?
We left the day before that attack.
You were there too, basically.
Yeah. And then he's also the guy, because we've had him on 9/11. That pushed me down when our building first got pelted by the tower coming down. He's also the one that ran me up the block when the second tower came down and the debris was heading toward us. And we stopped, and then we started helping people, and he helped me put people in cars and ambulances. And he was the chief of my detail, day in and day out, 24 hours a day, from that moment until the day that I left office. So, he was a chief from way back, but
so a real public servant.
John is
a real hero.
John. None of the 2020 riots would have taken place if John were around.
Yeah, well, I should have asked John. What
You don't
would-
even
what would-
need me. You just needed John.
What would
That's all.
Detective Uvain do if rioters were these pink-haired rioters were taking over the police precinct? I don't think he'd be running away. Are you
I
kidding me?
should have asked him what he thinks of the little cowardly
The boy mayor.
pissant boy mayor. Yeah.
That guy's still mayor. I remember in 2020.
I don't know.
when that
I don't know
happened,
how you keep
The
a
guy's
mayor
still-
that gives up a police precinct.
and he's still there lying about law
Yeah,
enforcement.
and he deliberately tried to cause a riot last night.
He did. And we can't.
So can you find out, as I move on to Venezuela for a moment, the condition in Minneapolis as we speak? Okay. So now Venezuela has taken some very interesting turns here. First, as you know, we seized 2 more tankers. But more interestingly, what we're doing with it, we are going to take bare minimum 30, let me make sure we have this absolutely right here. We're going to take 30 million barrels to 50 million barrels of oil, and we're going to use it to reimburse ourselves to start with for the cost of our action in Venezuela, freeing the Venezuelan people from dictatorship. Now, we also are going to take charge of their oil sales to make sure that they don't go to China, to make sure they don't go to Russia, to make sure that they use for their benefit and for our benefit, and also to also be on the inside to make sure that the drug trafficking ends.
Right.
At this point, we're experimenting, right? We have Delcy Rodriguez in charge. Now, she is clearly a criminal and a bad one, a really, really bad. The whole family is. She is a member of the Chavez Maduro criminal enterprise. She hasn't been charged, but she has been sanctioned several times for discrete involvement in criminal activity.
Yeah.
She is well known as a very, very dishonest, dishonorable, and difficult person. And she is suspected of, although not accused of murders. So that's what we're dealing with as the head of the government.
Yeah.
And we've got her there so that we don't have to do a complete military occupation of Venezuela. And on the other hand, we are counting on, and this is, I think, the view of our really very good Secretary of State, that she will she'll listen to us because she's scared and she has no other choice. I mean, if we can get him, we can get any one of them. And it may be that this is going to work, and it may be that it isn't. So far, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 calls, but you get her to do what you want. She first praised us, then she condemned us. Now she appointed, disappointingly, General Gustavo Enrique Gonzalez, who is 66, as commander of the Presidential Honor Guard. Now, this sounds to me a little like a secret police. Gonzalez Lopez ran the Bolivian National Intelligence Service. He has been accused of torture, sexual assault, sexual violence. He's been sanctioned by numerous governments around the world for violations, including the U.S., Canada, Panama, Switzerland, the European Union, and the Venezuelan-based rights group Asociación Civil contra Cuidadano. And he's been slapped with sanctions by the United States with deadly protests in 2014, in which hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans took to the streets, and they were beaten, tortured, killed, and he was one of the people behind it. So this election that has to go down on the side of, if this is a decision that we're looking at very, very carefully, we're going to go with Delcy Rodriguez, but on a very short fuse. Maybe the fuse is now half.
Right.
It would seem to me she could have done better than Gustavo Enrique Gonzalez Lopez, who seems to be wanted by everybody. Also, part of the coalition that governs the crooked, decrepit government of Venezuela, in which 8 million of their own people have fled,
Right.
is the minister of all kinds of things and the real leader of Venezuela's security forces. This is like your Soleimani, right?
Right.
This is Diosdado Cabello. Interestingly, Diosdado in Spanish, I can say Latin, means God. God. Who the heck would name somebody God? Diosdado Cabello. He is considered to be the fiercest defender of the Chavez Maduro regime. He commands the colectivos, which are armed gangs which go through the street on motorbikes, menacing the people and terrorizing them. And they just had such a demonstration this week, right after we grabbed the bum who was running the country. He's indicted in the United States and is now operating as the head of really the head of the police. He so far has said that he backs Rodriguez, but there is a great fear that he is going to, behind the scenes, try to utilize his very, very close relationship with the police, with the military, to take over. He does already run interior and justice, as well as the core police department. He took part in Rodriguez's swearing-in ceremony, but by that night, he was walking around with a rifle, riling up black uniformed security forces who started shooting things up, and also his little group of motorcycle terrorists known as the colectivos were menacing downtown Caracas, which people believe would not have been possible unless he had given the word. And then he said he had a quote that night. This is after he said he was supporting the government. Doubting is treason, now off to battle in the streets for victory. He was a close associate of Chavez. Believe it or not, they played on the same baseball team together. And they went to the same military academy. 5 members of his family are blacklisted by many governments, including the U.S. Treasury, for bribery, for assisting in the military dictatorship, for money laundering. His brother runs the tax agency, and his daughter runs the exports of Venezuela. So they're making a fortune. He filed a defamation lawsuit against Dow Jones, in which they said he was a massive criminal and one of the worst criminal elements in Venezuela, and also involved deeply in drug trafficking. The case that he brought against the Wall Street Journal was dismissed. And then he was indicted for drug dealing. So, as you know, I have grave doubts about the wisdom of having this woman who is involved with all of these people running this government. In this case, we don't know if he wouldn't do her dirty work and she would just, tell Marco anything he wanted to hear, or he would be able to overpower her. Although she's considered a pretty tough customer herself. Right. He has a show, a television show called Bringing Down Diosdado Cabello.
Oh, Cabello. Okay, we're on Cabello now.
bringing down the hammer. And he is very popular.
Here's his show. We gotta put the show on.
And there are rumors, persistent rumors, that he's going to try to overthrow her. He's been on that TV show for over a decade, and he is up until now a fierce opponent of the United States.
There he is.
Meanwhile, Maria Corina Machado, who is the person who, she didn't really win the election because she was excluded from the election, but her designated stand-in won the election, clearly won the election, and the president has. The president stated during the first press conference that he thought she was a very nice woman and a very good woman, but that she didn't have the juice to run the country. She's the person who won the Nobel Peace Prize, which she has said she from the very beginning. She said that Trump should have gotten the Nobel Peace Prize, not her.
She's offered to give it to him,
and she's offered to give it to him. And not only that, it was a hell of a brave thing to get out of. She almost got killed.
That's right.
At trying to leave Venezuela because they didn't want her to get the Nobel Peace Prize.
Right.
And she got there. Her father accepted it for her. She got there just as her father was accepting. So she got a chance to make her speech, which supports everything that we did and shows how the freedom and the security and the lives of the Venezuelan people were put in such grave jeopardy by these animals,
right?
That we have, I guess, partially removed. She described the Trump administration's capture of Maduro as a huge step for humanity. January 3 will go down in history as the day justice defeated tyranny. It's a milestone. It's not only huge for the Venezuelan people and our future, I think it's a huge step for humanity, for freedom and human dignity. So I cannot offer a particularly intelligent opinion about her or her colleague, because I don't know them. Nor do I know if they are or are not capable of running the government. The president has come to the conclusion that they wouldn't have the strength to organize the people. On the other hand, I do think we got to clean out the animals and the people who were deeply involved in the drug trafficking and the killing and the oppression and the human trafficking of children, and that has been going on since Chavez took over. And I don't see how that's going to happen if we keep around people like the Hammer or the other guy who's a sex offender and torturer. And these are not choices that make you confident that Venezuela can be much different in the future than it is now. Now, it may be just part of a process, and we've got to have a little patience. So let's see. But let's keep a close eye on it.
Right. That's.
So let's go back. Let's go back to Minneapolis. Have we gotten any word on what's going on there right now as we speak?
As we speak, we're not seeing a lot of activity. There are some crowds gathering. I have a live stream up. I'm trying to pull this up.
So it's an hour. Remember, it's an hour earlier. It's 1 hour earlier in Minneapolis.
Right. So let's see if we can get a good live cam here. Yeah. So crowds are gathering.
Has there been any violence today?
This here, we'll go to Waterwave TV. We got some guys here. Our understanding, there was some jostling, I guess we'll call it, earlier.
Any arrests?
No word on any arrests at this hour.
No arrests.
No arrests at this hour. That could change. We're just getting into the night. Jesse Ventura now says he might run for
Oh,
governor.
I mean, didn't he make a fool out of himself when he ran the last time?
So this year this is a live shot here. We'll play this. This is live in the streets. This is courtesy of Reuters. Maybe we'll put it up with small volume. So this is live in Minneapolis right now.
That's it right there?
Yep.
Well, it looks like a fair number of people.
Not nothing. So you're seeing a crowd. That's a few hundred people, I would say. We have some people on the ground in Minneapolis.
Would you like a little expert testimony on how this is a perfect way to create a riot and how professionals would police that so that there would not be a riot? From someone who studied how to do this and proved that it works with 8 years of no riots in a city that used to riot a moment's notice, sometimes encouraged by the stupidity of the mayor and the antics of then a fat Al Sharpton, who, by the way, when I was mayor, I never met with, because I would not meet with racial hucksters. I would only meet with people who wanted to be involved in constructive solutions, including ones that didn't sell out their own people. And I personally knew that Al spent most of his life selling out his own people, as did many of the black politicians in New York, which is one of the reasons why the community was in such bad shape. And this would be true of any number of black communities throughout the United States. The people are wonderful. The politicians become extremely crooked, which is why they leave office as millionaires. And the condition of the city is no better off, if not worse, after their 20 or 30 years of stealing. Now, this I don't know what this is, this jumping up and down. But the first thing you would do if you had a police department, they probably have a totally understaffed police department, if I recall correctly.
Right.
So this is I mean, they were pretty damn bad in 2020. I think it's gone from bad to worse.
Right.
Well, they shouldn't be in the street.
Right. Get them out of the street.
You have a right to express your viewpoint, but not any place, anywhere, and anytime you want to.
Time, place,
like if at 4 o'clock in the morning they came in front of your home and they started yelling, Rand Paul for president.
Right.
And they had just escaped from the local nut house, right? Because only people that escape from the local nut house would do that. Right. You would have a right to have them removed. They have a First Amendment right to be for Rand Paul. They have a First Amendment right to inform you of that. They do not have the right to harass you.
Right.
They don't have a right to block traffic. I don't know if that's that looks like it's a somewhat residential area. Let's suppose where you see those lights back there, there's a 65-year-old man, and he just fell on the floor with a massive heart attack. If we get there, it's not me any longer, but if the Minneapolis EMTs or whatever the heck they have there, I hope they have such things in Minneapolis. Maybe the boy mayor doesn't believe in them either. But if they get there within 3 minutes, 4 minutes, the chances of saving his life are 50 to 60% better. If they get there in 7 or 8 minutes, the guy is more about 80%, 90% dead.
Right.
And that, of course, is true in many, many things like a fire and other kinds of a stroke. Those people are making it impossible to get there in a responsible amount of time, which is the reason why they can be removed from the street.
Right.
Didn't say the sidewalks. You can make the same point on the sidewalks you can make on the street. You have a right to petition the government with your grievances. You do not have a right to do it any place you want, anytime you want, any hour you want. You cannot go in front of a hospital where all the sick people are trying to go to sleep. Go right up next to the hospital, surrounded with 2,000 people, and start yelling, Trump is a Nazi. You can yell Trump is a Nazi. You'd be kind of stupid to do it, but you can. But you can't do it that way. So please understand the First Amendment. Do not let these illegal, criminal communists who try to take advantage of our rights and use them against us, which is basically the entire Democrat Party. Now, I don't think my view, Ted, which I expressed on the earlier show,
right,
with Kara, is this is not going to be Floyd. It's not going to be Floyd because there's been an answer to it right away. The Floyd thing was allowed to fester. Everybody was doing, oh my God, the poor drug dealer, the poor woman assaulter, the poor assaulter of children.
He beat a pregnant
the
woman.
Poor career criminal. Look what happened to the poor guy. Let's do a statue to him so our kids can grow up to be just like him. Now, you can have any view you want on his killing, that it was a police killing or he died of natural causes. And no matter what the cop did, he had taken so much drugs, the guy was already headed to hell. But the one thing you can do to say he was a decent man, he was a horrible human being. I mean, he deserved to die. But it also means unless you're a fool or some kind of a communist agitator, you don't put up a statue to him. What, you want kids to grow up to be like him so that they beat up women with the child in the woman's hands? Or are degenerate drug addicts so bad that they're a danger to themselves and the community? His own family was afraid of him. His own family threw him out. Maybe if they hadn't thrown him out, it never would have happened. But nobody brought that up then. My God, I think you'd have been arrested if you did, right?
Right.
And then people, the Black Lives Matter, and then the little boy mayor gave up the precinct, and the thing just took off.
Right.
With Soros' money behind it, which I think a lot of people didn't know at the time, despite the fact that we were telling them that. And being condemned for it and taken off the radio and taken off YouTube and taken off this place and that place.
Right.
Because for some reason, they're all in favor of the criminals. They like seeing cities burn. Or they can't see the burning like the jackass on CNN.
Right.
This has been largely a peaceful protest. Well, the damn city is burning down right behind them.
Generally speaking, not.
This guy was probably a reporter during the time of Nero when Rome was burning, which is why it burned. Rome is not burning. Nero has put out a decree saying it's an illusion that you believe that your building is burning down and you are burning to death. It's just a pure illusion.
Mostly a protest. It is not generally speaking unruly, but fires have been started, and there's a crowd that.
Just an unruly burning of the city. A unruly,
not unruly.
It's a unruly burning of the city.
Well, he said it's generally speaking not unruly.
It was unruly. It was unruly.
Yeah.
It was unruly. It was unruly.
It was organized, calm.
Very organized, very calm.
Peaceful.
Just a little burning down 30, 40 buildings among friends. Right? They kill a few people. Well, I mean, 30, 20, 30.
And that was Minneapolis.
Just 20, 30 people.
That's important to point out. That was Minneapolis.
That same place, same leadership. 5 years. Are you crazy?
I couldn't believe it.
Are you crazy to have that communist and that jerk, idiot, stupid mayor? I can't imagine why the Somalians, including the large number of illegal Somalian voters, vote for him. He doesn't like Somali food. Right?
Right. The
guy isn't even tough enough to make it look good.
Yeah, he can't. You got to find that.
Well, I mean, the Trump foreign policy over the last month to month and a half has completely changed. First of all, Tucker. Isolationist Tucker. Go suck on your fingers. We're isolationist. You know how stupid it would be if we followed your advice and were isolationist in a world in which there are countries that want to destroy us? Doesn't Tucker think China is not a threat?
Right.
Is that true?
He did. Yeah, let me find the words. But you know what? Iran state media is
Iran's not a threat.
Iran state media is playing Tucker's interview.
Now, why does he say things like that? Is that he's not a stupid man? Well, why did he interview Fuentes and let him say all the things that he said when, in fact, a 13-year-old high school interviewer would be able to pull out his quotes?
Right.
I mean, you sometimes take his interview, look at our podcast, and then look at Piers Morgan's interview. And you'll see what honest people could do with this, and why this is such an evil, and you have to be warned against it. This isn't a game of ratings. It's a game of life and death for Jewish people. And somebody said to me today, I won't tell you who it is, it's a rather well-known political figure, that they believed, their belief was that from the time he was very young, Tucker hated Jews.
Right.
I didn't know that. I was told that. I've heard the rumors that he was anti-Semitic. And he plays it very cool. He lets you be anti-Semitic.
Right.
He lets you be hateful toward Jews. And then he doesn't correct it. He lets things fester. Doesn't correct it. He says, Fuentes says, just one simple example. I love Lenin. Oh, you do? Well, we'll get back to that. And he doesn't. Lets it go.
Right.
Now, really, really very, very damaging for Fuentes' whatever credibility. Does he have credibility? That the guy who loves Hitler also loves Lenin. Now you start to get an idea that this is obviously either extraordinarily mixed up kid or guy or whatever the hell he is, or there's a really bad guy. I mean, Hitler's enough, but not for Tucker, because there's a whole other side of the story where then he put on the guy that said Churchill caused the war. Now that's just plain. Well, I don't know what that is, and why do we want to get off on him anyway? Hopefully he's somebody of the past.
Right.
But I'd like to say that when people would say that Trump was an isolationist, I'd say there's no such thing as an isolationist. You can't be intelligent and be an isolationist. How can you be an isolationist when any number of your threats come from outside your country? Then if you're an isolationist, you're an irresponsible president because you're not defending us against the threats to us that come from outside the country. You're not defending us against the threat of China, the threat of Russia, the threat of Venezuela, the drugs that are coming in. We don't have the luxury of operating just in the United States with the ocean separating us as we did when we first started, which was, of course, a reasonable thing. The oceans mean very little now. And with the development of hypersonic missiles and everything else, you've got to be involved in what's happening in the rest of the world, understand it, and be ready to defend us against it. At least that, defending us against it, means also going on offense. There's no such thing as just being on defense. And what the president is doing with our alliances is brilliant, but it's hardly isolationism. Donald Trump is not a fool. You've got to either be a fool or a traitor to be a pure 100% isolationist. Like Rand Paul is an isolationist. But I mean, would you actually go to that guy to examine you? Whew. The second thing is Trump is against regime change. What happened in Venezuela?
That was the quickest regime change. I mean, boy, was that
We
quick.
plumped them right out.
Yeah.
Boom, gone. Boom. Now let's see what happens to the guy in Colombia Petro, for all of his bravado, is now begging for a meeting with Trump, and Trump says, "Well, maybe I'll meet with him before I take him out." Now it might not be necessary to take him out. The elections are in March to June,
Right,
of next year. He's not on the ballot.
no,
There are several very, very strong right-wing candidates.
Right.
Unfortunately, there are several strong, very left-wing candidates too.
right,
Before all this happened, it was assumed that the right-wing candidates would win if they don't subdivide each other. And there is a suggestion by Juan Carlos Pinzon, who I know very well, and is a very, very good man, that they have a. I don't think he's kind of fastened on exactly how it will be done, but that early on, which would mean now, the right-wing parties get together and pick one.
right,
Because there are 2 or 3 strong socialist, left-wing, and communist, even FARC, previously FARC related candidates, like this Petro is. And there are 2 very strong and 3 really possible, including Juan Carlos, right-wing candidates. But they're all strong enough to, in a big election, to take a risk that none of them come out number 2. If the communists, socialists, whatever the hell you want to call them, FARC, get together, whoever gets together and organizes is going to win. Whoever fractionalizes is going to lose. And if everybody fractionalizes, it's going to be a crapshoot.
right.
So now we have a president who is a careful, thoughtful, only where necessary interventionist.
Yeah.
And where we do intervene, we use the old Powell doctrine of let's just get it over with quick, with massive force.
Yeah.
Number 2, he's not for regime change unless it's necessary. Then he's for it.
Yep.
Also intelligent. And finally, the
Big
Trump
brain.
doctrine, he has taken the Monroe doctrine, and they say he's added a codicil to it, which is not dissimilar to what Theodore Roosevelt did. And it's real simple. You're not allowed in the Western Hemisphere if you're an enemy of the United States. Sorry. We're going to keep all the countries around us safe because America comes first. Now, if you allow Mexico, Canada, Venezuela, Colombia to be controlled by enemy forces, how are you putting America first? You're putting America last, aren't you? The danger to America is not all internal. It's half internal and half external. It is true that maybe the worst half is the internal half.
Right.
But that doesn't mean if we solve the internal half and we just let China take over everything, we wouldn't be destroyed.
Right.
So what Trump really has in great abundance is common sense. And therefore, he defies being labeled. When people can be labeled, they very often are interesting, but kind of useless.
I love that. That's a great line.
There was once a story about a senator. We could make him of either party, but I think it was a Southern Democrat senator
Yeah.
who was drunk and late and somewhat senile. And he came in and he didn't know what the bill was. And he didn't know. He just said, how's my party voting? No.
Yeah.
Okay, I vote no.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that's how. Mayor, that's how they operate. I mean, there's a reason you never wanted to be in Congress, right?
Yeah. It's,
You never wanted to.
yeah, I would be embarrassed being photographed asleep.
Right. Yeah.
Legal justification for the Venezuela raid. Somehow they did this article that it's changed. I think it's been the same from the beginning. It was a law enforcement exercise. They say, oh, how can it be law enforcement? 100 people were killed. Oh, it's law enforcement against a very violent group. That's why. I mean, 1,000 people could be killed in a law enforcement exercise. Iran. Where are we in Iran? Well, we checked. We checked with our sources, most particularly Ali Reza. And Ali Reza says that today and yesterday, there were meaningful protests, including protests where people were killed. And I think 6 people were killed today. And people were seriously injured and beaten in over 100 parts of Iran. And that it was quite prevalent throughout. Death to the oppressor, be it the Shah or the supreme leader. The idea that the Shah, former Shah, baby Shah, Nepo Shah, whatever you want to call him, is going to take over in place of the Ayatollah is completely sick. They're going to go from a dictatorship to go back to a crooked, brutal monarchy with the old Savak torturing them instead of the Revolutionary Guard. I mean, the family, which was only put in by the shenanigans of some of the worst elements in England and the United States, because they wanted to control the oil in Iran and therefore destroyed the possibility of a democracy, which has a lot to do in leading to the reign of terror. I'm sure there are still elements of those in the elite left that want to put this ne'er-do-well Nepo baby on the throne. He claims now he doesn't want a throne, although several years ago he was talking about being the king of. I don't think he knows what he wants because he doesn't know a damn thing. Now, as I said last night, I've been involved in trying to doing everything that I can, and I mean really seriously, trying to overthrow these people and to bring freedom to the people of Iran. I've worked extremely closely with Madame Rajavi, the MEK, with people like Senator Torricelli, a Democrat, with many Republicans, General Jones. Our coalition is massive. And the reality is it's just as massive in Europe as it is in the United States. And the National Council for the Resistance to the Iranian Dictatorship has a shadow government that is ready to keep the trains running and the buses running and the schools running so that you can get within, they say 6 months to 8, I would say less than a year, to a meaningful election in which they have no claim of anything other than, people have the freedom to run. And they are more than willing to have any outside observers or whatever we want to put together to oversee the election, because they are committed also to a group of rights that make them the equivalent of of the better Western governments. I mean, better than England now that doesn't have a right of free speech any longer. So there'd be a right of free speech, a right of freedom of religion. Most importantly, a significant number of rights for women to make up for what's been done to them. Women in government. The head of this group, the acting head of this group, is a woman. And I've worked with this group for 13, 14, 16 years. And women play roles as significant as men, including fighting. It's also the group that back in 2003 exposed the first nuclear enhancement site that no one either knew about or would speak up about. They fingered any number of nuclear scientists for the benefit of who, including right down to the last attack where you saw those very discreet hits. So and the idea that they don't have suasion within Iran, which is one of the things I see the State Department puts out, has always been opposed to them because they're not part of the Ivy League elite. That would mean putting in the Shah like they did to get rid of Mossadegh, all the Ivy League eating club group. They did a hell of a job they did in carving up the world, huh?
Right.
When you think about it,
Sure.
I mean, almost all of the problems result from the First World War and Second World War. European, with America just sitting by and letting it happen, carving up of the world.
Well, you taught me, Mayor, about how the big error after World War II we made.
Oh, the era is catastrophic. Probably caused more lives in the Second World War. The turning over Eastern Europe to the communists.
Right, and there was a scenario where we didn't have to do that, correct? Or was Russia?
Oh, of course, 100%. I mean,
well, do we have to work with Russia because?
Well, we had to work with Russia at one point because
the Germans.
Well, first of all, Russia had to work with us.
That's a good point. They needed us on the Western front or on the
Hitler
east.
attacked them. If Russia had their druthers, they'd have been Hitler's ally. They didn't pull out. Hitler attacked them.
Oh, that's right. Hitler's big mistake, they say.
They'd have rather be on the side of the dictatorship. They're both socialist governments. People love to deny that the Nazis are socialist. They were socialists. That's even in the name of their party.
National
Socialist. Yeah, they're National Socialist Party. Hitler and Stalin, I don't know, they were mirror images of each other. It really is a debate as to who killed more. Since Stalin was in office longer, I suspect Stalin did. There's even a debate as to, well, no doubt Hitler killed more Jews, but Stalin hated Jews too. What the heck do you think the whole saving of Jews from Russia was all about that went on for 10 years? Because the communists didn't trust them. A lot of that gets confused by the people who hate Jews, who say some of the early communists were Jews. Well, sure, some of the early communists were Italian too, like Sacco and Vanzetti. And I mean, there were, but most Jews were not, and most Jews were threatening to a communist regime for the same reason they were threatening to a Nazi regime. Because they wouldn't be loyal to you because you wouldn't allow them to believe in God. Well, I mean, what are Jews all about other than believing in a monotheistic God? Of course, there are some that are secular, and of course, there are some who have lost that, but that's not the core. What holds them together is their belief in the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac and the God of Jacob. Huh? The Ten Commandments, the God of Moses. That's what holds them together. Let's see what's happening in Iran.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Now they're on the 12th day of
the 12th day of protest. The murders are increasing.
Power has gone out in Tehran.
Pardon me?
The power is out in Tehran.
On purpose?
That is to be determined. A massive power grid failure is how it's being described. 16 provinces are in darkness. Crowds have been swarming the streets, chanting death to the dictator, and security forces have been firing live rounds, despite President Trump's warning last week that if Tehran violently kills peaceful protesters, which is their custom, the U.S.
are they doing that?
Come to their rescue. That's what we're hearing. We're hearing multiple reports of live fire into the protest crowds. And again, President Trump promised last week, told Tehran, if you violently kill peaceful protesters, the United States will come to their rescue.
Well,
this was the president earlier today on an interview with, I believe, Hugh Hewitt. There's a name we haven't heard in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And he was asked about meeting with Mr.
Nepo baby? With Nepo baby?
The Nepo baby. Here's his response.
Who is the heir to the constitutional monarchy? He doesn't want to rule. He would be a symbolic ruler like King Charles.
Well, I've watched him, and he seems like a nice person, but I'm not sure that it would be appropriate at this point to do that as president. I think that we should let everybody go out there and we see who emerges. I'm not sure necessarily that it would be an appropriate thing to do.
What the hell is wrong with you? Did he say a heir to the constitutional monarchy? The Shah wasn't a constitutional monarch.
And not only
The
that,
constitutional monarchs don't have the King Charles doesn't have a savak.
he also threw in, right? So it's almost as if he was on the take. He threw in, and you noticed that too.
What a liar.
Like King Charles and trying to, just
King Charles does not have a savak. Let me first of all tell you that. Secondly, when Pahlavi and his wife and all of his crooked ministers left, they took out just about everything, including the silverware. They're a bunch of thieving bums who pretend to be a monarchy. They were created really by foreign intelligence services in order to control Iranian oil. And they sucked the backside and became very, very rich. This little pipsqueak bum that he's talking about has lived on that money all his life like a prince, called himself a prince. And he never once in all those years risked anything, the hair on his head, to help his people. I risked a lot more than he ever did.
Right.
And all my colleagues risked a lot more than he ever did. He never helped us. Go ask Louis Freeh or Torricelli or Judge Mukasey or all these people. I mean, they almost killed us. They almost killed me twice. I don't remember him being with us. I don't remember him being with us negotiating to save those people and getting them to Albania. I don't remember that. I don't remember doing anything but living like he was a jet set jerk off. I mean, they neglect to tell you that a lot of the chanting in Iran, and I hope maybe we can get some examples of that for you for tomorrow night, is down with the dictator, be it the Shah or the supreme leader. Down with the dictators. They've had enough with dictators. I don't know. You don't put your life at risk. Have 120,000 people lose their lives, which is the number of just MEK people that are dead, and then take the brutal monarch back and his idiot savant son. I don't know what's wrong with these right wingers and how nutty they are, but I don't know what's inherent in the right wing that you would want to be in favor of a monarchy to start with. I don't like monarchies. Never liked monarchies. I'm really happy we rejected them. And although I am an honorary knight of the English Empire, it didn't stop me from telling Prince Andrew, when you could meet with Prince Andrew, when he came to New York. Well, now when we walk past this one statue, I should warn you, this is somebody you killed. This is one of the people you executed.
Yep.
It was Nathan Hale, the statue of Nathan Hale.
Right.
And when the British Navy came to Fleet Week, I said the last time they were here, we were chasing them out of here from their occupation in the War of 1812.
Right.
I love being an ally of England. I think they're really very fine people, but I still resent the fact that they dictated to us for generations and for years and took advantage of us.
Right.
Just like all the other colonial places do. Yeah, they did a lot for us and they did a lot against us.
Yep.
And haven't we been much better off without them? And haven't we been much better off without a monarchy? And what the hell do we have to have even a constitutional monarchy? What, so we can waste money on
Is it amazing?
on them flying around? And
I thought we were America, democracy.
if it's a constitutional monarchy, he's going to do nothing but go to the bathroom all day. Constitutional monarchy, he can't do anything except smile. I don't know. The prime minister can do a pretty good job of smiling, or the president.
Right. And Mayor, how did it work out?
And some work at the same time.
And how did this work out for the Shah, the son of the Shah's father?
Well, when they brought the Shah back, it resulted in an era of tremendous oppression unbelievable corruption. They talk about some modernization. That's true. That's true. He did some modernization. He also always was short on it because he was very much afraid of the clerics. So he would do it and then he'd back off. He'd do it and he'd back off. However, all the modernization never stopped him from stealing like he was a massive crook. I mean, the family basically took the bread out of the mouths of the people of Iran. And the people of Iran know that. And that son was completely raised on the money that was stolen from the people of Iran. So please, my Republican or right-wing colleagues who think, well, he's better than the Shah, he's better than the Ayatollah. He ain't much better. And just because he's our dictator doesn't mean that it's going to help us to support him when he oppresses the people of Iran, and as a result of that, they hate us. That's not going to further our objectives. This my dictator thing is a fool's errand. All you do is create mortal enemies for the United States when you do that. I don't believe this. I hope it isn't for money. I hope. But I see some of the people that I generally agree with very much supporting this ne'er-do-well idiot who's never done anything but now try to come in and make sure they enhance their wealth. So I am more than happy to discuss it with them, meet with them, debate. You want to debate it? We can debate it. Want to debate the Shah or democracy? I'd be happy to do it with any of you right-wing people who are sucking the Nepo baby's ass, because that's what you're doing. ICE arrested 100. Meanwhile, while all this is going on, in the last week, they arrested 118 people in California, and all of whom were the worst of the worst. Rap sheets for pedophilia, sex offenses, burglaries, domestic abuse. One man committing lewd acts with a 14-year-old. This is what the Democrats are defending. This is what that woman who lost her life was interfering with. She was interfering with the smooth operation of federal law against people who are pedophiles, murderers, thieves, and my God, in Minneapolis, if they've taken down over $9 billion, how many thieves are there? How many? I mean, it's got to be massive.
Right.
I said I would tell you the answer as we finish. Tell you the answer to the question of.
Well, ask again, because we might have a different audience. Ask again and just wait, and then you'll give the answer.
Well, if we have a different audience, then they are the ones that are going to have to suffer.
Fair enough.
If they didn't stay, tough luck. The ones that are with us are going to find out. The rest of you are going to have to put us on later or do something.
But we can repeat the question.
The question is, what are the 5 states that in the last year have had the most people leave? Because we all know, whether we're Republicans, Democrats, liberals, or conservatives, I don't count communist scum, that polling even done perfectly is inaccurate, because it's all guesswork. You're guessing on who's going to show up for the election, and particularly in an era that's as segmented as ours and fragmented as ours. If you make a mistake in the prediction, well, then the result comes out wrong. In other words, if you predict more Republicans than actually show up, you're going to get a disproportionate, and vice versa.
Right.
Okay. However, I think the best poll as to how things are going is people who make their own choices. So what are the 5 states in which the most people have left last year? And I'll give you a hint if you didn't know it. They're all far left, close to communist Democrat states, in which people are taxed to the point where you could describe it as a socialist enterprise, where dependency is valued over hard work, and where criminals are given more benefits than legitimate people, certainly many more benefits than victims. All of them are states that fit that category as excessively kind to the worst predators in our society. Number 5, of course, Massachusetts.
Gonna have a drum roll.
The communist state of Massachusetts. Very, very surprisingly, number 4, the People's Republic of New York.
Surprising that it's not higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most people would have thought 1 or 2.
Right.
Above it, the state with the worst governor in the country, maybe, about to have an even worse governor who was a cheat at the Naval Academy, a cheating cadet. Liar, cheat, a disgrace to the Navy and the Naval Academy. New Jersey. That's number 3.
Right.
Number 2 has the fattest governor in the country, the biggest pig,
Maybe he's taking
and something of a real numbskull when you listen to him. Illinois. Well, now you know what number 1 is, right? The one that I do a straight up trade for with British Columbia. Big hair state. The Newscomb state.
Right.
The state with that is now celebrating its first anniversary of not knowing how to fill its fire extinguishers and fire hoses and fire plugs. Who allowed the damn place to completely burn down? It's not allowing them to rebuild. Probably the biggest fraud in American politics, right?
Yeah.
Biggest fraud, absolutely, in American politics. And one of the most exaggerated intellects I ever saw after Governor of Florida kicked his ass in the first two minutes of the debate.
Yeah.
Because he's intelligent and well-educated. California. Now, you don't need to know anything else about who does effective governing and who doesn't when you see that the 5 top Democratic states in the country has had record losses of population. And this is before New York elected the communist, Islamic terrorist-loving mayor, Zoran Mandani, who in his first couple of days of office has been appointing people, I don't even go over it with you, that are off the charts ridiculous. He's got a head of schools that doesn't believe in gifted programs. So he's going to make everybody stupid.
Yeah.
Since you can't make everybody brilliant, he's going to make everybody stupid.
Yeah.
That's really smart, huh? That's communism. Well, we'll get more details hopefully tomorrow. It is strange that we're not getting very much on that shooting in
Portland?
Yeah, we still don't have much on it, right?
Well, we know it was U.S. Border Patrol.
Well, you just.
We understand that these individuals may have been speaking Spanish at the time. They were potentially members of. This is from the Department of Homeland Security. At 2:19 Pacific time, U.S. Border Patrol agents were conducting a targeted vehicle stop in Portland, Oregon. The passenger of the vehicle and target is a Venezuelan illegal alien affiliated with the transnational Tren de Aragua prostitution ring and involved.
Well, that's why they're not telling us about it.
In Portland. The vehicle.
That's why they're not telling us about it.
The vehicle's driver is believed to be a member of the Tren de Aragua as well. When agents identified themselves to the vehicle, to the occupants of the vehicle, the driver weaponized his vehicle and attempted to run over the law enforcement.
Gee, I wonder where he figured that out.
Fearing for his life and safety, an agent fired a defensive shot. The driver drove off with the passenger fleeing the scene. That's what we have right now. We will look for more.
By the way, the number of now, these are Border Patrol agents, not ICE agents, so it might apply to them too. But the number of attacks on ICE agents since the Democrats have been fingering them and encouraging attacks on them, which is what they do when they call them Nazis, and we're way past the point where you can say you don't know it does that. It's gone up 1,000%. And one of their favorite routines is what you saw yesterday with that woman who attempted to kill the ICE agent. When you look at it, and you got to dig it out from all of the hiding. When you look at it, her car was heading directly for him. There was no opportunity for him to escape. If he jumped one way or the other, he could have fallen, in which case she'd have rolled right over him, or she could have chased him with just a little turn of the wheel. By the way, they have a very good turning radius, you should know. I've had many SUVs.
We'll monitor that and try to get more, but
yeah, but I'm sure they're not telling us about it because it's another indication of the invasion of our country that was allowed by the Democrat Party from 2001 until the day Donald Trump came into office, in which it was abruptly stopped. And it was so quickly stopped, you can see how it was deliberately arranged by them, right? Just the slightest little thing, and they could have stopped this invasion of America with people like that running around America. And I got to tell you one thing about this crew of recent immigrants, the Biden group. They really do specialize in sexual perversion.
right,
I mean, they really are a very significant group of perverts.
right.
Now, if they're not perverts, they're murderers or drug dealers, but it reminds me of like the UN delegation. That is a disproportionate number of perverts, meaning they attack their stepchildren, sometimes their own children, have sex with them, have children with them, and you can't do anything about it, and beat the living daylights out of their women. And because they have diplomatic immunity, you can't do anything about it. NYPD shows up, can't do anything. Just frightens the whole building by beating the crap out of his wife. Because they come from countries like Somalia. Somalia is probably 50% of the world. Completely, 100% corrupt government. Not like 50%, like 100% corrupt. And the reason you're in government is to make money, to steal it, bribes. Well, hopefully we're changing that. We're going to end and we're going to say a prayer for the repose of the soul of Michael Reagan, the son of former President Ronald Reagan and actress Jane Wyman, who died yesterday at the age of 80. Michael was a friend of mine and someone I really thought was a very, very fine and wonderful man. He did wonderful things to preserve the legacy of his dad, loved him immensely, loyally, and consistently. And I know that not only from having worked for President Reagan, the only president I worked for, but in the later years when I was on the board of the Reagan Library, I became very close to Mrs. Reagan. And in that way to Michael. And I have to tell you, this is a very, very big loss. His commentary was also extraordinarily, well, if it's an unknown caller, you can just go and be unknown. Michael was an extraordinary man. And I really have to put this off because it is unfortunate that it's interfering with what I'm saying about a very, very, please go away. Don't do that.
Yeah, you can, and you can.
Yeah, you take that. You take that. I'm going to say it again. Yeah. The loss of Michael Reagan is a very, very unfortunate one. He was 80, but in our modern age, God willing, this is a young age. I'm 81, and he was an extraordinarily good man. His commentaries were extraordinarily intelligent. They were always filled with many, many interesting stories and wisdom from his father. I can tell you from having witnessed it at a little bit of a distance when I was in the Reagan administration, but then later much closer when I was on the board of the library and got very close to Nancy Reagan. His love of his father was unconditional. His respect for him, well earned, but tremendous. And his knowledge of him, we're going to miss it. I mean, you could go to him and say, what would the president have thought about this? And you'd get a damn good answer. A lot better than a lot of us can do who just work for him. And he was also a very, very humorous man. It was wonderful to have dinner with and wonderful to talk to. Had very much a similar kind of humor to his dad, and a great American patriot, as you would expect from Ronald Reagan. So let's pray for the repose of his soul. Let's ask him, as he's gone to meet the Creator, accompanied by the angels, I'm sure. Let's ask him to pray for us. And we'll pray for him and for his family, which I'm sure is going to be very, very tough. He was very close to his wife and very close to his family.
Michael Reagan, he was adopted.
Yes, he was adopted.
So
Ronald Reagan and Jane Wyman were Jane Wyman was Ronald Reagan's first wife. She was a Academy Award-winning actress, and the president remained very close to his children from that marriage. And I don't know what it was like at the beginning when they first broke up and then he married Nancy. But by the time he was governor and president, they had a very cordial relationship, he and Jane Wyman. Well, certainly not hostile in any way.
Yeah.
She never said a bad thing about him. And I never heard him say a bad thing about her, ever. Not like
you hear sometimes
these lowlifes that we have.
Right.
Because even people of great class. And so was Michael. And God bless him. And Michael, we're going to pray for you, and we're going to mostly pray for your family. But we're going to ask you to pray for us. And then we're going to ask all of you to pray for Israel and to pray for Ukraine that we haven't had a chance to talk about today, but it's still in motion. The peace, which, well, it's in motion. And pray for the people of Iran that soon, we can all travel to Tehran and celebrate freedom and democracy like we were able to do eventually to Warsaw. It was probably one of my greatest trips, where the statue of Ronald Reagan exists. I said on Sunday there should be a statue of Donald Trump in Tehran pretty soon. Right. And let's pray for the people of Venezuela who are going through tremendous transition, but with great hope for the future. And pray for our president. The burdens, we talk about this, and it's like all these different things, and we can talk about them, but they're all on his shoulders. So, dear God, give him the strength and the health. We know he's extraordinary, and we know you saved him for us, but he's still human, and you're God, and we need you. So, come on, let's say it together. God bless America. It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776. One of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them, And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason